Ethan Miller was 24 years old, living in Columbus, Ohio, working full-time as a customer service representative for a mid-sized insurance company. After taxes, his take-home pay was about $2,650 a month. On paper, that sounded stable for someone his age. He shared a modest one-bedroom apartment in a safe but average neighborhood, paid $975 in rent, drove a used 2016 Honda Civic with a $285 monthly car payment, and carried the normal expenses most young Americans carry: $120 for car insurance, around $250 for groceries, $140 for utilities and internet, $90 for his phone, and about $180 a month on gas. But the real weight in his life wasn't rent or the car. It was the $8,000 in credit card debt he had accumulated during college and the year after he graduated. The balance was spread across two cards, one charging 22% interest and the other 19.5%. His minimum monthly payments totaled about $420, and even though he was paying every month on time, nearly half of that money was disappearing into interest. After all expenses and minimum debt payments, Ethan usually had less than $150 left at the end of each month, money that often disappeared unexpectedly on small emergencies like a car repair, a medical copay, or simply higher grocery bills due to inflation. He wasn't reckless, he wasn't irresponsible, he was just stuck in the same cycle millions of Americans find themselves in, working full-time but barely moving forward. The turning point came in January, right after the holiday season. Ethan had used his credit card for Christmas gifts and a short trip to visit his parents in Kentucky, telling himself he would figure it out later. When his January statement arrived, he saw his total balance climb past $8,000 for the first time. That night, he opened a simple debt payoff calculator online and typed in his numbers. If he kept making only minimum payments, it would take him almost 3 years to become debt-free, and he would pay over $2,300 in interest alone. That number hit him harder than the balance itself. 3 more years of feeling trapped, 3 more years of stress. He realized the problem wasn't just spending, it was that he had never created a direct, aggressive plan to eliminate the debt. He had been trying to manage it instead of attack it. Sitting at his small kitchen table, he made a simple decision. For the next 6 months, his primary financial goal would be to eliminate the entire $8,000, even if it required temporary discomfort. Ethan began by getting brutally honest about his spending. He downloaded 3 months of bank and credit card statements and categorized every transaction. What he discovered surprised him. He wasn't living lavishly, but small leaks were everywhere. $60 a month on streaming services, $110 on eating out, random Amazon purchases totaling nearly $95, and occasional bar nights with friends that averaged $120 monthly. None of these alone seemed destructive, but together they totaled over $350 per month. He decided to cut aggressively, but temporarily. He canceled all streaming platforms except one, saving $45. He committed to cooking at home 5 days a week, reducing eating out expenses from $110 to around $30. He paused all non-essential online shopping and unsubscribed from promotional emails. He set a strict $50 monthly social budget instead of $120. Within a week, he had created an additional $280 in monthly breathing room without changing his income. But he knew cutting expenses alone would not solve the problem fast enough. At $700 extra per month, $280 in cuts plus $420 minimum payment, it would still take nearly a year. He wanted 6 months. Instead of searching for unrealistic online schemes, Ethan looked at his local environment. In Columbus, demand for food delivery and grocery delivery had increased significantly, especially on weekends. He signed up for DoorDash and Uber Eats, choosing to work Friday evenings and Saturday afternoons. He committed to a realistic schedule, 8 to 10 hours per weekend. The first week, he earned $210 after gas expenses. It wasn't glamorous and it wasn't passive income, but it was real and immediate. Over the next month, as he learned which neighborhoods tipped better and which times were busiest, he increased his efficiency.
By the end of month one, he was averaging about $850 per month in additional income, after setting aside extra for gas and minor car maintenance. Combined with the $280 he had freed from expense cuts, Ethan now had roughly $1,130 extra each month that could go directly toward debt. He chose the debt avalanche method, focusing first on the card with the 22% interest rate while continuing minimum payments on the second card. In February, he paid $1,550 toward his highest interest card. Watching the balance drop from $4,300 to under $3,000 in a single month felt empowering. For the first time, progress was visible. March came and he repeated the process, another $1,500 payment. By the end of month two, his highest interest card balance was under $1,600. Instead of feeling deprived by his temporary lifestyle adjustments, he began feeling motivated. Each payment reduced the amount of interest charged the following month. In April, he fully eliminated the first credit card and redirected all payments toward the second card. Psychologically, that moment mattered. One card gone, one battle won. While continuing his weekend delivery work, Ethan looked for small ways to increase income without burning out. He volunteered for optional overtime shifts at his insurance job when available, adding an extra $200 in April. He also sold unused items, a gaming console, old textbooks, and a desk chair, earning another $430 total. Rather than letting that money blend into his checking account, he applied it immediately toward debt. By May, his remaining balance had dropped to just under $2,400. His minimum payment had also decreased due to the lower balance, but instead of reducing his monthly contribution, he kept paying over $1,400 per month. Momentum mattered more than comfort. The final stretch was both exhausting and motivating. In June, summer heat made delivery shifts less pleasant, and some weekends were slower. Instead of quitting, Ethan adjusted his strategy, focusing more on grocery delivery where tips were higher and mileage was lower. He also tracked every delivery mile using a mileage app, knowing he could deduct it during tax season, which would reduce his taxable side hustle income. By mid-June, his balance was under $900. On June 28th, after depositing his final weekend earnings, he made the last payment. His total debt balance read zero. The entire process had taken just under 6 months. What made Ethan's story realistic for Americans is not that he found a secret shortcut or overnight opportunity. He didn't invest in volatile assets, start a risky business, or rely on family assistance. He combined expense control with income exponentiation in a high-interest debt environment common across the United States. According to Federal Reserve data, millions of Americans carry revolving credit card balances with similar interest rates. Ethan's approach worked because he treated debt elimination like a temporary financial sprint rather than a permanent lifestyle restriction. He didn't promise himself he would never eat out again or never relax socially. He committed to 6 focused months. Once debt-free, Ethan faced another decision. Many Americans fall back into debt after paying it off because they don't redirect momentum. Ethan chose differently. Instead of continuing delivery at the same intensity, he reduced his side hustle to twice a month and began redirecting $1,200 into a high-yield savings account, offering over 4% interest. Within 3 months, he had built a $3,600 emergency fund, something he had never had before. The psychological shift from debt stress to savings growth changed how he viewed money entirely. He also set up automatic payments to pay his credit card balances in full each month to avoid interest entirely. Ethan's story reflects 3 principles applicable across the United States financial landscape. First, high-interest debt requires aggressive action because minimum payments are designed to extend repayment. Second, cutting expenses alone is rarely powerful enough. Increasing income, even temporarily, accelerates progress dramatically. Third, financial transformation does not require permanent sacrifice, only focused periods of discipline. His 6-month sprint saved him over $1,800 in future interest and restored control over his finances. He did not become wealthy overnight. He did not double his income, but he shifted from surviving paycheck to paycheck to building stability. Today, Ethan still works his 9-to-5 job in Ohio, but his stress level is lower. His credit score has improved significantly due to reduced utilization, and he has begun investing modestly in a low-cost S&P 500 index fund through his employer's 401k. His life looks ordinary from the outside. That is precisely the point. His transformation was not dramatic, viral, or sensational. It was structured, intentional, and grounded in the economic realities of modern America: rent, car payments, inflation, and credit card interest. And that is why his story matters. It proves that for a 24-year-old earning an average American salary, eliminating $8,000 in 6 months is not fantasy. It is the result of clear math, temporary